Yeah, that's not extreme enough for me. I have to do extreme things. I
Uh-huh.
know I know myself. I have to
Okay.
do. I have to. If there's no challenge, if there's no risk, it's just not interesting for me. Well, like take today for example. Everyone else who's out there surfing, who's got a paddleboard, who's doing water, everyone's wearing a wetsuit, right?
Mm.
Except for me, right? I was out there just in my shorts. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's that's more interesting for me,
Mm.
right? It's not interesting for me that if I have a wetsuit on and I fall off the board that I'm
Yeah.
perfectly safe. That's just not interesting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
have a higher stakes, right? If you
Mm.
if I fall off, not that well, I'm gonna be cold and wet.
Yeah.
So so that and then there's limits, right? I mean, obviously you I only do it because I know there's a lot of sun today and the sun
Mm.
will dry me and the sun is warm even though it's cold, so I'm aware of those things.
Mm.
But I need that I need that risk. If there wasn't that risk, I wouldn't go. It just wouldn't be interesting for me.
Mm.
There has to be something like somebody offered me some work in a local radio station,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked them, "Where's the risk, right? Where's the where's the adventure? Where's the challenge in that?" I said, I know that I can do it.
Mm.
It's not a problem.
Yeah.
I could do it like that
Mm.
with a bit of practice and preparation, but I could still do it. So where's the you know, make it interesting for me by having some risk or some challenge or something that's really difficult about it,
Mm.
and I'll do it. But right now it looks like something that is just not interesting for me. And if it's not interesting for me, how am I going to make it interesting for other people?
Mm.
I'm not, right? I would not be being honest if I said, "Oh, this is fantastic," and this, I'm really excited about it. I said, "Oh, no, I'm not. Thank you for the offer. I'm not really interested in it as it is because it looks to me to be really safe and there's no risk and quite boring, to be honest, um, for me. Uh, if we can change it and we can do it in a way that is new, is fresh, is exciting, that's never been done before, then I'm interested.
Mm.
But I don't want to just be part of something which is average and then I lose.
Yeah.
I can see that I would not be committed. I wouldn't care. I would lose interest. And it reminds me of when I was a student, I had a job in a bar
Mm-hmm.
and it was the most boring job in the world. No, let me change that. It was the easiest job in the world. It wasn't boring because you make it interesting by interacting with people. So
Mm-hmm.
it was easy, and I wasn't really very interested in doing it at the time. But I can see where you can have fun with it and everything. But it was a really easy job. But I kept making mistakes.
Mm.
Like I would get orders wrong,
Yeah.
and just because I wasn't focused. My brain was thinking about other things and other places, and I didn't care about what I was doing, and everything went like that. And I looked like an idiot because it was easy and I got it wrong.
Mm.
The reason why I got it wrong was because it was not a challenge for me. I just switched off. Like, yeah, whatever. So I know to be good at what I want to do, it has to be interesting to me.
Mm.
Not every part of it, but it has to be fresh and exciting. And I get bored
Mm.
very, very easily. Like if I do something and I know I can do it, I'm like, whatever. I can do it. That's like like I was talking about people with BMX bikes and doing tricks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing the same trick again and again and again. It's just not interesting for me and for a lot of others. It's just not interesting. I would just shoot myself. I have to find new tricks to do, and people need to know themselves about what it is that will keep them interested in things. So I'm a person who always needs some level of challenge in what I do in order for me to do it well or to improve myself. Um, Other people don't. They're different. They're happy to sit at the same desk with the same papers,
Mm-hmm.
doing the same things every day for 20, 30 years. Yeah, there's I think part of a manager's job in a business is to understand the employees and what it is that they need to keep themselves interested in what it is that
Mm-hmm.
they're doing, and understand that they're all different. So you can't have one system that's going to be right for everybody. Each person's going to need something a little bit different in order to keep them in both interested and entertained about what's going on. Something new, something fresh has to be
Mm-hmm.
put into things. And you even with bonuses and incentives, if the bonuses and incentives are always the same, that becomes there as well. Um, I guess if it's money, then you can take the money and you can change it into whatever you want. You can save it, or you can buy something with it, or you can have an experience with it, or whatever. So I mean that gives us some level of freedom. But it's important to understand how much people need to be pushed and experience risks and challenges. And with our challenges at the present moment, with the world the way that it is, um, it's crazy to give everybody the same situation. Okay, you will all be working from home. Well,
Mm-hmm.
there's a large amount of people who are not going to be happy with that. Because we're all different and we all need different. There's some people who'd be very happy with that. Be like, oh, paradise, yes, everything I've ever wanted right now. It's fantastic. Like most of the people on LinkedIn posting the wonderful things that I've learned from the lockdown. Right? It's just like every day is like all the fantastic things that have come from this negative experience. Which is what it is for a lot of people as businesses close, as economies go down and don't recover, as there are knock-on effects, as there are supply chain problems, as production decreases and in a lot of places continues to decrease or just doesn't restart, because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
businesses that are not going to restart. A lot of people out of work now as well, and a lot of challenges because a lot of people are out of work, but a lot of opportunity at the same time. There's no better time to start a business than right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no better time. All this waiting is a giant mistake. It's a giant, people still waiting for things to get better. People still waiting for things to change, waiting for things to improve. People waiting for a second wave of COVID-19 to come and pass, so that no, what a massive mistake. Waiting is timing is important, because we talked last week about time, place, and people. So timing is important, but waiting is a mistake for everybody. Now is the time for everyone to drive as fast as they can, and do as much as they can into the future, for lots of different reasons. For the reason that there will be opportunities, and for the reason that I think more people are still going to lose their jobs. I think we haven't seen the end of that wave of effects. I think it will run on into next year, maybe, depending upon what happens with the laws and the rules and the regulations in various different countries. I went to the local shop yesterday. There's 2 local shops, co-op shops, that sell, fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
Yeah. And lately, my partner has been doing the shopping, because I get into trouble when I go shopping, because I tell people exactly what I think.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. People don't like that. So I'm just, apparently my opinion is a problem. So so I went to the local shop, and of course no mask, right? But there's a rule it's not a law, it's a rule, because you can't make laws like that everybody should wear a mask. And of course, me, no. So people are standing in a line, and I'm standing there with no mask. Go into the shop, no mask. Buy the products, no mask. Walk out. Nobody said anything, and that's good, and that's just another example of risk, right? in things, going there and putting on, like, I could put on a mask. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. I think it's stupid, right? Well, in fact, I know it's stupid, because I've read all the studies, and I've read all the reports, and I've read all the science about it. There's absolutely nothing good or positive about wearing a mask. Everyone who wears one is an idiot. I'm sorry to offend the world. And if you put one on a child, I think you should be prosecuted or taken to court or whatever, because putting a mask on a child is a really, really harmful and dangerous activity to do. And if you're a teacher and you put a mask on a student or force a student, you should lose your job instantly, because you obviously don't have the intelligence required to be a teacher. Yeah. And if you're a doctor and you recommend putting on a mask, you shouldn't be a doctor, because obviously you haven't read any of the peer review studies, you haven't read any of the science, and you're a danger to society for neglecting your work properly. I mean, I think that these people are there is no science to support the fact that wearing a mask is good. There's none, absolutely none. And I can give you about 100 studies that say it's dangerous, it's harmful, it doesn't prevent the sharing of viruses or illnesses or sickness or disease at all, unless you're wearing a gas mask, right? Right. Think about it like my friend explained it like this: if you can smell somebody's fart, right? You think a mask is going to protect you, right? It's a crime in any country in the world to physically harm a person, right?
Okay, but
it's a crime in every country in the world to physically harm someone. Therefore, it cannot be mandatory. It cannot be a mandate in any country.
okay, because I know
International
that in
law.
Slovakia, yeah, but okay, but for example, in Slovakia, where you are not wearing masks, you can go inside to the shops. Imagine you will be fired
That's a
out.
crime. It's a crime. That's an international crime. That's a crime in the international courts. It's a crime. It's a criminal. I know it's hard to believe that government would be involved in criminal activity. I know it's very hard to believe that government would be, but it's actually a crime. The only respect that you need to understand is to not hurt people. Any law or any rule that causes pain, suffering, or hurt to people is not lawful in any country. It's not lawful. It's just, it's a crime. It's a crime. Now, the fact that your government controls your courts might have something to do with the fact that the government has no problem creating local rules regarding this, because the same people, I imagine, I don't know for a fact the exact situation, but I imagine the same people who make the rules control the courts. The same people who make the rules control the courts. So, you know, when the people in charge of the courts, the people in charge of justice are the people committing the crimes, that's where we're at, right? That's where we're at, right? It's a crime. International law, as well as national law, as well as social law, as well as religious law, you cannot mandate, create a law or a rule that harms people and force it on people. You can't do that. It's not legal. You can ask people to do it. You can ask companies to create rules for their employees, but you can't make a law because it's unlawful to mandate harming people. And there's no science that masks work. None. None. There's been no study ever done to prove that masks effectively prevent the spread of anything. None. And I can give you at least 100 studies, at least 100, that say it's harmful and it's dangerous, and outside of unique situations like a doctor performing an operation in a hospital or working in a very dusty or cloudy environment where there's danger in the air of breathing in something, could be dust particles, metal particles, asbestos, whatever, then you should wear a mask. Outside of those situations, you should never wear a mask at any point in time, ever, for any length of time, because it just doesn't work. I can send you videos if you want of doctors explaining this. I've got at least 3 videos of doctors explaining how wearing a mask has 0 positive effect. 0. In fact, it's actually negative because it actually hurts the person wearing the mask. So, and there's lots of studies. There's lots. You just go and find any peer-reviewed, scientific, university-sponsored medical study, and you'll find that the results are the same in all of them. They all cause harm, and I know because I've read them. So there, right? And I know what I read. So, so this idea that it's a psychological game. If everybody stopped wearing a mask tomorrow, you know what would happen? People would forget. People would forget that there's this massively mysterious, dangerous enemy out there that could kill anybody. They would forget. They would forget. The masks are just to remind people to be frightened and scared. And the only people telling people to wear masks are the media. Wear your mask. Reminder: wear your mask. It's in the newspapers. It's in the social media. It's on TV. It's on the radio. Wear your mask, and it's just put in everybody's face again and again and again and again and again. Do you think criminals love it? Criminals love the fact that everybody has to wear a mask because nobody can tell who is who. It's actually promoting crime. I'll tell you something else. It is very, very easy to kidnap children when children are wearing masks. It's extremely dangerous. It's very, very easy to kidnap children when children are wearing masks. It's extremely dangerous. It's extremely dangerous for children. And there was one other study as well about, oh yeah, right. A child's entire psychology is basically built on understanding human reaction. A child's entire psychology is based on understanding human reaction. Your child studies your face and your partner's face, and that's how they learn about the world. That's how they learn. They study your reactions. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you frustrated? Are you confused? Are you nervous? Are you worried? Your child will study you. Everything about you, your child will study. All the good and all the bad. And about your partner, all the good and all the bad. But the number one thing is your face, your expressions, your emotions. And children live and die by the emotional expressions of their parents. They live and die psychologically because that makes them happy or sad. Imagine a child who never sees a happy parent. How do you think the child feels inside? The child is dead. If you never see happy parents, you're dead inside. So a child lives and dies by the facial expressions of their parents. And you can go and read scientific peer-reviewed studies about how children develop, and you'll find all of this information in there. And I know because I've seen them and I've read them, and I've built my own whole parenting course for parents as well about the right things and the wrong things to do. And so if a child can't see the emotional response of the people around about them on their face, the child does not learn anything except to be confused and puzzled and to not understand. So every time an adult wears a mask around a child, especially a child under the age of 5, it hurts the child. Because the child can't learn anything from the facial expressions that it needs to learn in order to develop and grow and become a complete human being, and to have cognitive development so that the brain grows and the connections are made. If an adult wears a mask around a child, it hurts the child. Any developmental psychologist, any child psychologist will tell you exactly the same, because it's truth. It's veritas. And so anybody who says that the parent should wear a mask around the child or put a mask on the child, I mean, that person is dangerous, because they're hurting people. They're causing hurt and harm. They're harming children. And that's wrong. And nobody can argue with that because, you know, it's open or closed, right? It's open or closed. So governments can't make laws. It's harmful. Governments are putting pressure on companies to change the behavior of their employees. It's a hard situation to be in. It's you know, forcing your employees to wear a mask. Here we go. Is there anything more stupid than the restaurant where the waiter or waitress has to wear a mask, but the customers don't? That has to be the most stupid rule ever created since the beginning of time. That the waiter, waitress, bar staff, employees have to wear a mask, but if you're going into the restaurant, you sit down and eat, you don't have to wear a mask at all. I mean, how stupid do we need to be? Las Vegas has casinos open. Las Vegas has casinos open, but all the churches are closed. I mean, how stupid do we have to be? Right? Nuremberg is the final point. Here's my final point. I'm pushing this to all my clients. The Nuremberg trials after World War II were very simple. Question: why did you do it? Why did you kill people? Why did you put people in prison camps? Why did you do experiments on children? Why did you do it? Answer: because I was told to do it. Sorry, not good enough. Prison. If you can't think for yourself, then there's no hope for the world. Because we're straight back to everybody doing everything that they're told to do. And we need to resist that which is harmful. Why do you not do this? Because you're hurting people. Like, I went onto the websites of the local members of parliament and I was like, please stop hurting people. Please stop hurting people. And then I posted links to scientific papers, which I'm sure they don't read because I don't think they care. But at least the choice is there. You have to give people a choice, right? Life is choices, which take you to heaven or hell. If you are Christian, that's what most Christians in the West believe. And it's not really about the existence of heaven or hell. It's just understanding that your life is a result of the quality of the choices that you make, that you have to make good decisions. It doesn't mean getting everything right all the time. It means making mistakes and learning from it in the process and growing, because as I say lots of times about surfing, which I now understand is like most of surfing is failure. It's failure, right? Try to stand on the oh no. Right. There's like you're always a beginner. It doesn't matter how good you are, you're always a beginner. Because you always have to go to the next level of challenge in everything. In everything that gets done. So people will push this idea of masks, but it's not scientific. but it's supposed to be a scientific situation. No, like there's teachers get things wrong, mechanics get things wrong, doctors get things wrong, scientists get things wrong. Yeah. Because the world is not always practical and logical in that sense. More people die in hospitals than anywhere else. Part of the reason is that they take the sick people to the hospital and they die in the hospital. But another reason is that hospitals are centers for diseases. Never, never live right next to a hospital. It's a really good piece of advice. Live somewhere where you can travel quite quickly to get to the hospital if there's an emergency, but don't live right next to the hospital. Because that air is full of a lot of things that you don't want to breathe. So we got to be practical about our choices.